All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin, the Member Value Manager for the Texas Restaurant Association. Welcome to Profit Leaks, the hidden costs draining your restaurant. I'm excited to have this webinar today for you and your operators. Just a couple of housekeeping items. This will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. It'll be members only content, so you guys will have access to that in a couple of days as we get the recording. Also, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the chat, and I will let Hannah and Danielle take advantage or answer those questions there. So I want to just kind of introduce Hannah and Danielle and give a little bit of an overview of this webinar. It's a practical deep dive that uncovers exactly where your restaurant is losing money, from hidden payroll costs to and accidental overtime to the chaos of manual tip calculations. Learn how to stop juggling spreadsheets and plug the leaks by bringing scheduling, payroll, and tips into one connected app. Simplify your ops and put money back in your pocket. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Hannah Duncan and Danielle Wong to go ahead and get us started.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Yeah, welcome to our webinar. We're here to talk more about those constant subtle drains on your restaurant's bottom line that you might not realize are happening. So I'm Danielle. I've been at Seven Shifts for almost 5 years as a staff product marketing manager. So I've worked on teams at Seven Shifts, including growth, scheduling, team engagement, and I help launch products to market that really help restaurants save time, money, and help retain their staff.
Sweet. And I'm Hannah. I've been at Seven Shifts for just about 4 years now. I lead our core product team. And so we focus on scheduling, integrations, labor management, all of which help make the day-to-day of running a restaurant much more smooth and profitable.
So we're hoping by the end of this session, we want you to take away and walk away with a clearer understanding of some of the most common restaurant cost leaks, and that we're hoping that you can take away at least one to two things to help address and improve your SPLH.
Cool. So today we're going to start by defining what we actually mean by hidden labor costs. We'll then go into 7 possible labor leaks in your restaurant and have some suggestions on how to mitigate those. We'll emphasize the value of an integrated platform throughout this presentation. That's really the point we're trying to get across. By having everything that you need in a handful, if not 1 to 2 tools, is going to really make things easier for you and your team to actually run that restaurant. And so we'll follow that up with a 7 shift specific customer story. And finally, we'll get into some actionable takeaways before we dive into a live Q&A.
Okay, well, first we're going to talk about the hidden costs of restaurant operations. So, what exactly are profit leaks? These things are hidden costs like manual processes that are really inefficient. So, those could be things like payroll errors or compliance issues that just consistently are eating away at your profits. And these aren't just one off mistakes, these are constant leaks that over time just drain your bottom line. So, that's kind of why we asked this question. Is your restaurant losing thousands of dollars a month without you even knowing? So let's talk about where money can quietly leak out of your labor spend. Those things like manual data entry or having disconnected systems and scheduling and punch changes that don't sync to payroll. When you're scheduling, your time tracking and your payroll tools don't talk to each other, that's when the inefficiency can become really expensive, really, really fast. So today we're going to be taking you through how you can increase efficiency, reduce errors, and save you both time and money. So we're going to first dive into 7 big labor leaks that we see in restaurants today. So we've done extensive research and we work really closely and talk to hundreds of restaurants. And these are the most common areas that we see money slip through the cracks. So we're going to take you through each one, what's causing it, and the impact on your bottom line, and some suggestions of how you can potentially fix them. And along the way, we're going to show you some real life examples from Seven Shifts to highlight how our tools can help you plug in these leaks. And you can also use other systems as well, but for the sake of this presentation, we're going to show you our product. And for context, we've also included some yearly cost estimates and percentages, and this is going to be based off of a restaurant doing around $1 million in annual sales. So we'll kick it off with number 1. So the first one is food and labor waste. So the estimated cost is around 1 to 2% of labor. Again, this is for an assumption of a restaurant making around $1 million in annual sales, and that could correlate to around 3 to 6K a year. How this hurts by over prepping or prepping at the wrong time can waste both ingredients and hours of your staff. So if your team preps too early or makes too much or guesses the demand wrong, that's just money going straight out of your margins. A solution, cross-training your staff so that anyone can flex into multiple roles and tie in prep list to sales forecasts as well. You can train your team on portioning and efficiency so that labor hours and food usage lines up with real demand. So the example we'll take you through is an online digital checklist, specifically focused around daily prep and forecasting. So in here, you can see some of the examples of the checklist is looking at the sales forecast, comparing the forecast to the same date or time or last week. So I'm going to go in and click one of the, or no, I'm going to edit the template. And here you can add a task. So this one is recording what was prepped, sold, and wasted. So assigning that to someone. I'm also going to put in photo type. So someone's going to have to prove that they did it via a photo. So either attach a photo or send one there. And then I can go back to the task list itself and assign it to a specific person so that you know that they're going to be held accountable to do that action. Oh, I think the video might have frozen a little bit. All right.
Can you still see the screen, Danielle?
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, so the next one is actually, sorry, I think my notes are a little messed up right now. All good. So the next one is payroll admin work. So this can be around 1 to 3% of labor costs, which is around 3 to 9K per year. So how this hurts, paying staff, oops, sorry, one sec. This manual tip distributions, things like double entry between multiple systems, and making those corrections takes up a lot of managers or admin time and can also really increase the risk of more errors. So every manual adjustment is money and time loss, and that really adds up. The solution is automating your payroll and tip calculations. And also a big thing too is just really integrating your POS with your payroll as well. So once your systems talk to one another, it reduces a lot of manual work and cuts a lot of those errors. And most importantly, it frees up a lot of manager time so that they can focus on running the restaurant instead of manually entering the data that could lead to more human error. So this example, we're going to show getting set up onto a payroll solution. So I'm here, I'm going to click run payroll from your dashboard and then being able to sync now. So syncing your data systems from either your POS or your existing check it, time, clock in and clock out solution, reviewing your team's hours and earnings. And then you can also add in any paid or outstanding tips as well too. Things like mileage, bonuses, any reimbursements that your staff may have purchased, and then being able to preview your payroll. You're also able to do your taxes very easily online as well. Take care of your tax filings, and then offering your staff easy access to their pay stubs as well. That gives them higher visibility and less questions for managers and owners. And then, yeah, submitting your payroll.
Awesome. All right, so our next leak is time theft and break challenges. So this is an estimated 1 to 3% of labor costs or 3 to 6 grand annually. When your staff are able to either clock in early or forget to punch out or get their friend to clock in for them if they're going to be late, you're now paying for labor that you're not actually receiving. And additionally, any skipped or extended short breaks can increase hidden labor costs and create a risk for compliance issues. If someone's either not taking their full break or they're going beyond their allocated break, it's all things that you want to be tracking. And so the solution here is to implement modern time clocking tools with features like manager approval for any punches that come through, or geofencing, so someone can only clock in when they're very close to work if they have a mobile clock-in tool, or something like buddy punch prevention, where they have to take a photo every time they clock in so you know it was them. All of these things can help you to stay compliant. And then also finding a system with enforced punch rules so that you can't clock in early for a shift or out for a break early, and also just tracking to ensure that you remain compliant and your staff's time punches remain accurate. So I'll go into this video. This is our tool 7 punches, which is for clocking in and out of shifts. When I go to clock in, If I don't have a shift scheduled, I'm not actually able to clock into it until that shift time starts. Once I'm clocked in, I'm able to go out on a break, either paid or unpaid. If you have rest breaks or meal breaks, things like that, you can put those custom breaks through. If I try to come back early from a 30-minute break, I'm not allowed to, and it lets me know that I need to stay out on my break until 30 minutes are up. 30 minutes later, I can then come in and end that break. So it's really just preventing people from doing things incorrectly that lead to hidden costs for you. And then finally, I can end my shift. We do have some attestation that you can custom set up. This was a test account, hence the testing. But if you wanted to be tracking, if someone was given the opportunity to take their shift, or sorry, take their break on shift to help with compliance down the road, we have those available as well.
Okay. The fourth one is employee training and turnover. So this can cost 2 to 4% of labor cost per year, which is around 6 to 12K annually. How this hurts, higher turnover means repeated training shifts, lower productivity, and then more hours spent onboarding new hires. We know that every time someone leaves, you're essentially paying to start over again, and that is extremely common in the restaurant industry as well. There was a study done by the National Restaurant Association where the average hard costs, so these things include separation, replacement, training, to replace hourly staff is around 2,305 per person. There was another company called Black Box Intelligence, and they did the state of the workplace or workforce report in 2024. And GM replacements can be around 16,770 gear, which is a lot of money. So a solution would be focusing a lot on retention. I know it's not an easy thing, but offering things like fair scheduling, growth opportunities, and recognition for your team helps them retain them a little bit longer, reduces churn, helps save those labor hours, and improves overall efficiency. So I'm going to be taking you through an employee insights and performance log. So here I'm going to click on an employee, Bridget, going into her performance. So I have updates on her stats, basically how many shifts she's worked, how many tasks were completed, any feedback that she's provided after her shifts too, and really understand how they're feeling as well. There's options to log private performance. So say I did a shift with Bridget and she expressed interest about wanting to move up or become an assistant manager. That's something that I can log here and have either myself or someone else can kind of go back and during the next one-on-one have an active conversation around that as well.
Sweet. So our next one is excessive overtime. This is a big one. It can account for 2 to 5% of labor costs and $6,000 to $15,000 annually, if or more, depending obviously on your size. So you're often unnecessarily paying 1.5 times the regular wage when smarter scheduling might have allowed other staff to cover the shifts at their regular pay rate rather than the overtime. So this extra pay quickly adds up, which leads to budget overruns, and it can also contribute on the flip side to staff burnout or morale issues if people are really being overworked. So the solution here is that restaurant scheduling is very dynamic, which makes things difficult. It's really hard to have a schedule that you plan at the beginning of the week go perfectly to plan. And that's whether it's a really slow day or a really busy day because of events or things going on in the area. So we recommend setting schedules or alerts that automatically flag when an employee is approaching overtime. And the key to managing this is to consciously spread hours across more team members and make changes as the week goes as well, such as choosing the person with the most projected hours if you need to make cuts during slow periods, or if you need someone to come in, picking someone who has a lower projected total hours for the week so you can keep them within the overtime threshold. So this is our overtime tooling. So on our schedule, I know it's quite small. Hopefully you can zoom in on the recording later, but within our schedule, we show you overtime alerts, this red portion, and you're able to see where exactly on the schedule they're going to go into overtime. And then we have our weekly overtime report, which lets you know anyone who has 30 or more projected hours. And that's sort of the approaching 40 hours per week window. And so you can actually see how many hours they've worked versus how many they're now projected based on the updating schedule over the week. So that just gives you a bit of a tool to better track that and manage it over time. This is related. So we have overstaffing and understaffing next. This is 3 to 6% of labor costs or 9 to 18 grand a year. Overstaffing during periods of low sales means that there's idle time and lower sales per labor hour affecting your margins directly. Meanwhile, understaffing during periods of high sales can also lead to a poor customer experience as well as staff burnout, all things you don't want. So simply put, scheduling without considering things like the forecast or events or weather, and even more, we always know that, a tool isn't going to have every piece of knowledge that you need. There's a lot of innate knowledge that comes with running a restaurant as well. So making sure that your managers are aware of all of these things that are going on around them, like events, forecasts, and weather, while also bringing in their own knowledge. This is the best way to kind of ensure that you aren't under or overstaffing. And having a system that can actually track all of this so that it's not all in your manager's brain will really give them more brain space to focus on running the restaurant. And so if we go into this video, we can see our dashboard where you can see daily sales and labor stats. You can see that we're doing fairly well throughout this week, but today's sales are nearly $1,000 below projections. It's still early in the day in this case, but let's head over to see who's working to see if there are any misscheduled folks or too many on the floor. This looks pretty balanced depending on how foot traffic is. We could consider sending one of them home early, preferably the one most likely to approach overtime, which you could use that report for. And we can also look at this weekly to understand the bigger picture. Overall, we're on track here, so we may take no action, but it's something to be monitoring over the week. So it's all these little tools that exist in the system that are really going to help you have that bigger picture. And our last one is compliance and labor law violations. So the US Department of Labor suggests this can lead to 5 to 10% or more if legal action is taken. This results in 15 grand to 30 grand or more in waste. Depending on the state you operate within, which I'm assuming most of you are in Texas, given this is the Texas Restaurant Association, there are many possible labor exceptions that can cost you and are easy to miss. So in other states, we see things like missed breaks or more laws for minors, scheduling errors that result in fines or back pay or lawsuits, which can severely damage your reputation as well as any finances. And so the solution here, it's very difficult to keep track of all of this yourself. So we recommend finding a scheduling and timekeeping tool that comes with built-in compliance checks and proactive flagging, like we've seen throughout this presentation. It's also crucial, as I was saying before, to train managers on current labor laws so they can manage things like breaks or minors' hours on the floor, or for Texas specifically, things like tipped minimum wage when you're actually going to run payroll or overtime rules and ensuring that you can remain compliant there. So in our system, this is our time clocking. You can see this warnings and exceptions section, which will flag anything that is going to cause a labor exception, including things like overtime. This allows you to go in and check what is causing the exception. And then we also have reporting where you can pull for a time period and a location, and you're able to view all of the labor exceptions that are costing you more. And then you can also hopefully use that to make a better schedule and plan better for the next week and reduce those costs.
Awesome. So those are the 7 labor leaks. Now we're going to go into the ease and efficiency of an integrated platform. So that's kind of the underlining issue that we have too, is the problem of siloed platforms. There's data that's scattered across many different systems, and that makes it really difficult to get to a single unified source of truth for your restaurant or restaurants. And a lot of time and money is wasted on, again, manually entering and managing data across all of these many separate tools. So solution, simple, seems simple, a connected, integrated platform. This approach that we call the value of integration really allows you to gain a more comprehensive view of your restaurant's operations all in one place. And this saves you a lot of time because you're not exporting and importing all of your data, and you're just manually consolidating it into one. So that system is just going to move seamlessly between one another. And we've seen real life impact of people using a full integrated suite of tools. Restaurants could save, well, this is with 7 shifts, but restaurants could save over $2,100 a month using your full suite. over 1,000 in overtime pay. We've seen an average of 500 in unbudgeted labor hours and over 500 in compliance errors as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of a couple of areas that I really want to focus on here of connecting your data and systems. One is your sales and labor. So connecting your POS with your scheduling and your sales data will really help you optimize your staffing levels and labor costs. And I think within the labor leaks section before, a lot of that is really tied into that piece, right? You have your labor and your schedule and your sales data all flowing into one, ultimately really making things a lot more efficient for you to manage your team. And lastly, another one is wages as well. So being able to automatically calculate and distribute your tips based off of your sales and labor data, this helps minimize errors and also saves you a lot of time. So you can send those tips alongside payroll to ensure that your team gets paid accurately and on time. And we wanted to highlight a moment. You've heard a lot from us too, but we just wanted to focus on a customer as well. So here's a sweet little customer story. This is Jeremiah's Italian Ice. They do have restaurants in Texas as well. They began in 1996 with a single store in Florida, and it was founded by Jeremy Litwack, who started his journey selling Italian ice from a push cart outside the Mint. And fast forward to today, Jeremiah's expanded to over 170 locations across 7 states, and they're delighting communities with their vibrant, family-friendly atmosphere. So let's take a look more into their story.
Awesome. So Jeremiah's Italian Ice's franchisees were struggling to keep all of their systems in sync, as they had everything from spreadsheets for scheduling to apps that did not integrate with their POS system, meaning people had to learn many different tools in order just to keep things running. It's a lot of lost valuable time, frustration, and error-prone outcomes because all the systems weren't talking to one another. So they came to 7 Shifts and they were able to roll out a fully integrated platform for scheduling, labor management, team communications, tip tracking, and payroll all in one place. This gave their franchisees more time to focus their efforts on more valuable things like ensuring a great customer experience. So we do have a quick video here to highlight the value that the Jeremiah's team found with 7 Shifts. Let me know if you can't hear it.
Okay, you know Jeremiah's Italian Ice? Yes, that place with the super cool frozen desserts. Well, I looked into their history and it's actually a really cool story. This is their founder, Jeremy, and he was actually selling ice cream from a push cart in high school. Then in 1996, he opens up the first Jeremiah's in Central Florida, and in 2019, it becomes a franchise. Let me tell you, the brand took off. Today, there's over 170 locations across 11 different states. But with fast growth can come growing pains, especially with scheduling.
If franchisees were signing on, we could be getting the question, well, how do I do my scheduling based off sales? How do I, enter all of my employees into the system? And it's like, oh, well, you just have to do it all individually for every single store.
And instead of forcing a corporate solution, Juliana listened to franchisees.
Enough people, I guess, started saying 7 Shifts. If their peers are telling them to use a platform that helps them, it's sold.
Since then, the brand has continued to grow with the help of 7 Shifts. 70% of locations have adopted the platform. Managers can create schedules in 15 minutes or less. Employees love using it for communication, and stores are saving big on their labor costs.
I think it's just super easy for our managers to go ahead and look at the schedule for the current week and see what their projected labor is. They do enjoy 7 Shifts over, another scheduling platform, and it's been super easy.
Okay, don't judge Maya.
Well, the results speak for themselves. By integrating their POS with their scheduling, managers at Jeremiah's Italian Ice were able to see real-time sales and projected labor all in one place without the guesswork. So one location actually led to a 27% reduction in labor cost over 2 years. And then another one saved around 9% in their first year, while others achieved 7 and 6.6 in savings. So on top of that, they were also able to run payroll for over 115 employees, which also includes nearly as many off-cycle runs as regular payroll without extra fees. So I think it's just an example that we wanted to showcase of how the right tools and consolidating your data and your systems really makes operations a lot smoother, faster, and more cost-effective.
Awesome. So we will get into the final bits of this presentation, so some actionable takeaways. Number one, we will be emailing each of you a PDF guide with the 7 leaks that we talked about today and how to spot them and how to reduce the cost. I believe that will come on Friday. Number two, we also hope that you understand the value of consolidating your tech stack and how much that can have an impact on your labor cost, whether that's compliant scheduling, accurate payroll, etc. It's all more efficient when everything is in one system. And lastly, if you would like to trial 7shifts, you can head to 7shifts.com or book a demo via the link that will show in the follow-up email. So now we can go to a live Q&A. If anyone has questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Danielle, I'm not sure if you can see any on your end.
Yeah, I can see them. Let me go through this. Okay, one person says, does 7shifts payroll handle different compliance across different states?
Yes, we do. We actually so we have support for various states. But alongside that, we just launched where you can have multiple locations in our system that have different jurisdiction rules for each one of them. So we do handle compliance across the different states.
Awesome. I just mark that one as done. Another one mentioned, how does something like smart scheduling work across multiple locations?
Yeah. So if you have multiple locations and you share employees across those locations, you're able to see the separate breakdown of labor costs and whatnot per location. So it does go granular. You can get department-based budgeting as well, where you can see if your front of house or back of house is costing you more and better understand what's going on there. And then in terms of the smart scheduling, we flag when your employees are scheduled across different locations at the same time. I know that sometimes there's two locations that are close together and you like to leave a gap for people between. You can put those in shift notes and things like that. So it's all sort of communicated in the one tool.
And then we have one more. So yeah, if anyone else has any questions, please add them to the Q&A. Last one we have right now is, what's a good or recommended general average percentage of revenue that your labor should be? I think I saw in your video it was 21%.
Yeah, I'll say I'm no expert in this area in terms of the actual percentage number. It very much varies depending on the type of restaurant that you are. We see varied numbers across the board. Obviously, not all of the numbers that come through are going to be successful that we see, but I would say the range is so vast that it really depends on the restaurant that you are operating, the state you're operating in, and the type of food that you're also serving.
Great. A couple more came in. Thank you for your questions. One person asked, what back of house systems does 7shifts integrate with?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of point of sale systems that we integrate with. I think we do offer one of the most vast set of integrations in the market right now. So please do take a look at our integrations page. I'm sure we can get that sent out with the email or something so that we can offer you some more information there. In terms of back of house specific, we do have Margin Edge, which we do see people using quite heavily for back of house management. But if you have any other questions on other integration offerings, please definitely check our knowledge base.
I just pasted a link in the chat too to see a full list of integrations if anyone is interested in seeing which back house or any other softwares that we integrate with.
Awesome.
Last question, does 7shifts offer options for training or onboarding?
Yeah, so it kind of depends, I guess, on what you mean by onboarding, if you mean specifically the training portion of onboarding. We do have a beta that's sort of out. It's very, very early. We're really just trying to learn more as it comes to training because we do see that obviously with the amount of turnover in the restaurant industry, you need to be able to train people quickly and efficiently. So it's not something that we offer broadly today, but it is something that we are looking to learn more about. So I would love if you could reach out to us if you have any other questions or insights there. And then in terms of onboarding, we do have employee onboarding packages. So if you're using our payroll system, it's totally free. If you're using various plans, you can insert, some of them are included in the cost of a plan, some aren't. But we basically allow you to create a package which has tax forms, as well as like an employee handbook if you wanted to include that, or your menus, like anything document-wise that you want an employee to review and check off that they've reviewed so that you can kind of get that assurance back. We do offer that in our system today.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions we have.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been super, super informative. I appreciate your guys' time. I think everyone here has gotten something out of it. So be on the lookout for an email on Friday. And if there's any other questions or anything else that you didn't think of, shoot us over an email and we'll be happy to help. Thanks, y'all.